I don't know, and I'm happy for any questions or insults or anything like that. But that's what I wanted to share with you guys today.
We're 12 people. We should have a classroom and you're the teacher. Thank you so much, Adam. Floor is open. What are your thoughts? Marcus, you're muted.
Adam, what made you move from Plymouth to Denmark?
Oh, that's a really good question. It was more or less completely random, but when I was in business, I always loved teaching because I always believed in the power of hiring the youngest person. I always thought that a 14-year-old knew way more than somebody who's been doing it 20 years. I've always felt that. And in the last few weeks of running my business, I went to Denmark to do an innovation event for 500 students. And it was the first time, because I knew I was going to leave my company, I was going to sell my shares and move. And what was incredible was when you're in business, you're often keeping things secret and you're just working on your business. But then I saw all of these young people with all of these bright ideas. And I'd say, oh, that could be something. You haven't got the confidence for it, but I can help you get that confidence and turn it into something. And I just really enjoyed seeing young people with ideas that were too scared to be real and just giving them the push to make them real. And after spending a week with a bunch of Danish students, one of the department managers said, oh, what are you doing when you're leaving your company? And I said, I don't know. I was going to just take a couple of years off. And they said, well, why don't you come here and teach and do this stuff. But I have no formal background in education. And I've tried to like avoid all that stuff as much as I can, which makes me break a lot of rules and think very differently about it and do some horrendous things sometimes. Like, I'll be honest, some of the stuff that I do, I couldn't get away with in Britain at all by a long stretch.
And then what would be your, I don't know, 10 rules guidebook to become an idiot?
10 rules to become an idiot?
Yes.
Everybody is an idiot. We just beat it out of each other. We're born curious, and actually, it's not really about being an idiot. Actually, I think I'm a little bit self-depreciating, because if I say I'm an idiot, it puts people, it takes their guard down a little bit, because nobody expects anything of the fool. But actually, the fool is the one who can take risks, who can make mistakes, who can try new things, and isn't so worried about consequences. And my other tip, literally my best tip for being an idiot, is I always imagine my neck is on the block of the guillotine. And you know this feeling when you're looking up at the blade and the blade is about to come down and chop your head off, and you're not sure when it is. And many of us live our lives like the blade is going to come down. But the trick that nobody ever tells you about the guillotine is it doesn't matter if your head is poking a little way through or all the way through. When that blade comes down, you're going to get sliced. So it doesn't matter if you're making a little bit of trouble or a big bit of trouble, you're going to end up dead. The real trick is to make so much trouble that your body crawls through the rest of the guillotine and out the other side through to safety. And I've often thought about the bigger and the wilder and the more insane the mistakes that you get, the more they look like genius. You know, no one cares about a little failure, but you make a big failure and you're a hero. You know, people love massive failures. So if you make a small mistake, make it bigger, make it 10 times bigger, make sure the whole world sees your mistake.
What kind of environment do you think does it take to let things like this happen?
Well, that's a really good question, because many people will say, could it only happen here, or could it only happen there, or do you need a supportive this, that, or the other? But actually, it's down to you as a mental environment, because wherever you go, people will restrict you. People will say no. if you've got the mental power to, there's a brilliant quote by Robert Downey Jr., I think, where he says, smile and nod and then do whatever the hell you're going to do anyway. And to me, I like that, because I think you need a level of mental security. And I really love, Stephen Covey has in his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he has one habit that's the value setting exercise. Maybe many of you will know it. It's the funeral exercise. If you don't know it, please do check it out. And in fact, I don't think I read the whole of the 7 habits. I think I only read 3 of the 7 habits or something. That one was enough, because when you know your values, you don't care what your boss thinks. You don't care what a government thinks. You don't care what your paycheck thinks. You don't care what your family and your friends think. You know who you are and you're doing your thing. And if people want to stop you, they can try. And if people want to cheer you on, they can cheer you on. But you're going to do whatever you're going to do anyway. If you have that mental, like something in your brain has to flip. But it's scary. Like, I'll be completely honest. It's terrifying. And yeah, the amount of sleepless nights, the amount of sheer terror, the amount of covering my own ass. But what was really helpful was I had what I would affectionately term an asshole manager. I had a manager who didn't like me, and he would look for he was like an old military guy, you know, really strict, ran the rules by a spreadsheet, and he would look for any reason to fire somebody. Oh, you're 15 minutes late for a meeting, you're fired. Oh, you didn't send the email, you're fired. He was really, really brutal. So I thought, I can try to follow all of his rules to not get fired, or I can accept the fact that if he's looking for a reason to fire me, I'll give him the best reason ever. And that's when you get students, you know, stealing 50,000 euros worth of art, and you get helicopters landing in the in the school car park. Because if you're going to get in trouble, really get in trouble.
If you had the choice, Adam, one school, every teacher's like you, or every school in the world has one teacher like you.
I think that the truth is, I'm not saying that my way is the best way. No way. There are so many different types of students and different types of learners that we need so many different kinds of teachers. And what I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, that with every class that I teach, some of them will say, I'm the best teacher ever. And some of them will say, oh, he's okay. And then some of them will say, he's the worst teacher ever. And they'll go and they'll take a class with another teacher who I think is like the most boring guy ever. And some of them will say, oh, the boring guy, he's the best teacher ever. And most of them will go, he's okay. And some of them will say, he's terrible. So it doesn't really matter what your style is. I think what matters, or like how many Adams there are in the world, what matters is that there's got to be the right kind of teacher for everybody, and everyone learns in a different way, acts in a different way. So if we cookie cutter our teachers, we're only serving one kind of student or one style of student. And that's why some people like Chinese food and some people like Italian food. I don't know why your teachers would be any different. I think students should be able to pick their teachers like a menu from a restaurant, and some are vegan and some are gluten-free, and you pick what's right for you. Why did she get a sticker? I'm more alpha leader than her. And then they start acting like they want the sticker and they don't know what the sticker is for. And it's completely random. And then I let the ones with the sticker who are going through this power trip pick who they want on their team. So they literally will choose each other based on how they've been acting, but by giving various students the stickers, and then the others are trying to work harder to get this silly thing. And maybe it impresses the others, maybe it puts them off, but it certainly subverts human behavior. And the nice thing about that is it's a really easy way to show them, look how differently you are acting for a piece of paper that you have assigned value to. Because you might think, oh, I would never run after money. I would never chase for money. I would never fight for money. I would never compromise my values for money. But you started acting differently as soon as I put a blank piece of paper on somebody's shoulder, and you didn't even know what it was, but you thought that you valued it. You saw somebody with it and you wanted a piece of it, and you'll do anything to get it. So why not put $1 or €1 or a krona on that piece of paper and chase after that? And then they realized that they had it in them all along, that they did have the power to fight dirty. They did have the power to act differently for something that had intangible value. And this is a horrible lesson to teach people. It's horrible because it makes them sound like I'm teaching them how to be bastards. I'm not. I'm revealing their inner bastard that was inside of them all along and showing them how to use what could be perceived as a negative trait for something really positive. I want to show that they're, you know, they're being adaptable, they're being tenacious, they're being driven, they're looking at something and thinking that it's something worth having. They're going out to get something. And I know that that's kind of a long story. It would be easier if it was, 2 boys and 2 girls and you mix or something. But no, I really wanted to push the psychological elements of it, because at the end of the day, chasing money is the most stupid thing that you can do, but it's really, really fun. And that's why people
Martin has a question.
Well, Adam, I have a question. So you told us that you did it a year and years, and I think almost more than 10 years.
Yes.
So, and then the record was that the people after your course, they are getting self-employed, more or less?
Yep.
But the question would be, and in the long term, how many of them are real entrepreneurs? And do you still have contact with them?
Yes, I do. And actually, from the very first class, the girl who I took to the top of the Stratosphere Tower and pushed off the top, her name is Steffi, and we've become collaborators for a really long time. And she now runs the TEDxLinz events and does lots of event organizing. And many of them who are like the graphic designers now do graphic design for events. And yeah, there's so many that became successful entrepreneurs. 2 of my students, what they did that was really smart was they set up the largest co-working space in the city, and then many of the students that graduate from my courses then go and use that as a startup incubator. One of my favorites was a couple who they ended up in Forbes because they had a really good idea for, I think it's either Bulgarian or Romanian car repair via an app. And they made so much money with their app that they sold it, and now they're doing their own fantasy projects. And what was really cool about the students is, yeah, they do stay long term, because once they realize how much fun it is, it becomes part of them and what they do. And the biggest success that we had, it was so cool. The ones that probably made money hand over fist was the school got a laser cutter, you know, in the Fab Lab, and you can laser cut all kinds of interesting things, and everybody makes little jewelry and they try to sell it and all that kind of stuff. And then one day someone has a friend who's giving birth, and they make a little present that's a piece of wood that says the baby's name and the date of birth and the star sign and how much the baby weighed and all this, just laser cut into wood. And it was quite nice. And he took it down to the hospital to give it to the mother in the hospital, and she loved it so much she put it in the window of the they have it's called like a patient hotel, the night that you stay after you've given birth, and put it in the window. And another mom saw it and said, oh, that's great, can I do one? Can I have one? And the orders exploded to the point that they had to outsource to Germany to get even more laser cutters, and they were cutting them for women who were pregnant but hadn't yet given birth, and then finishing them off in Denmark, because when one mum had it, every mum wanted it. And of course, we would take a photograph and share it on social media to announce the baby. And as soon as you put a baby's first picture on social media, it gets 1 million likes. But then you put your product right next to a baby. That's the best advertising. They were selling literally a piece of wood for maybe 30 euro a pop, and they couldn't print them fast enough. And that's become a really successful, like that was like a wild business. But they went through like 50 other things before they even got to that. So yeah, and I do try to stay in touch with as many of them as possible. But yeah, many of them stay freelance or create collectives or team up or do all kinds of things. And it's nice because I get to work with many of them even now. So yeah.
Adam, where is Adam who's Adam in 5 years? Still a teacher?
5 years.
Still a teacher, or are you excited to do your own thing?
Dead in a ditch somewhere. Yeah, because one of the things I haven't told you is, because I'm often breaking the rules, other stuff has happened to me. One was I did have a smoke grenade attack on my classroom with them all dressed in military gear. One time I was blindfolded and escorted out of the class into the basement, and then they put me in a car and drove me around blindfolded, doing all these stunts, popping balloons as if there was gunfire, forced me into a canoe with replica machine guns in the middle of the night. So probably dead, I would say. My lifespan is not. Oh no, one time that I almost nearly died was, if you've ever been to the Technical University of Munich, they have a big metal slide so you can slide really, really fast down. And my students were really jealous of that, because at the University of Southern Denmark, they have this huge bronze staircase, and they were like, it's not extreme enough. So they created a slide down this huge bronze staircase, and they put me in a crash helmet and all of this stuff, and like a boiler suit. And it was almost one of those huge pallets on rails going down a bronze metal staircase. And then the students live streamed it, and the rest of the faculty were at the bottom to applaud me. And that nearly did kill me, that one there. But it was a lot of fun. It was better than what they have in Munich, but yeah.
Well, Adam, in case you're gonna be dead soon, the session is recorded. So I'm gonna share it with a lot of people, and I can say I've met you, so we're good. Write the postcard from the other life. And then thank you so much. Maserat is already with us. I think that was a fantastic session. I really enjoyed it. I really love the cases. We talk about education so much, and we have people passionate about education in the room. You know, Marcus, and it's so beautiful to see how teachers who are actually been seen as the biggest problem also can be different.
A pleasure. It's been tons of fun.
Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you so much, Adam. See you soon.
I will do. See you guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.